you can encode attributes like a public document as a relationship, but you would need to say something like the document has a read relation with every user or something, which is a bit cumbersome.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of data to store, especially if you want to have like something akin to like a public document. That's a lot of data. And so I'm just curious, like do people store that locally, or what's going on with the data story in Zanzibar?
It is a lot of data, and for a company like Google, that is less of an issue because they have lots of systems for dealing with lots of data. So Spanner is Google's global, globally consistent relational database that uses like atomic clocks to, ensure consistency across very, disparate geographic regions. And they use that as the backend for Zanzibar. And all of the data is essentially centralized in these like Spanner instances. So for the document, for saying that Connor is an owner of a document, that would be something that you would write into Zanzibar, which would get stored in Spanner and, consistently replicated globally. And that, is where the authorization data would live. And then Zanzibar is evaluating the logic and looking up data in Spanner. For Google, this kind of like massive data global consistency centralization is sort of was sort of already like a solved problem for them. They didn't build Spanner specifically for Zanzibar. It was just something they had lying around. For companies that are looking to make their own like authorization service, or companies that are looking to implement and sell an authorization service, if you don't have a Spanner lying around, it's a fairly like serious like task to take on implementing. And there are also reasons why organizations might not want to have their authorization system centralize data like that. But for Google being at the scale that they are and having systems that already work, and the fact that it's an internal tool means that they can be very prescriptive about how it works. Like the authorization team can just go and tell application teams, this is what you're doing, this is how it works. Whereas if you're designing, your own system, or you're trying to like build a system that you want to sell to people, you can't necessarily just force them to make the design decisions that Google did about specifically centralizing data and having a very prescriptive model for encoding the logic.